supposedly live.
Awesome.
So,
I see it.
see how it goes. Cross your fingers. All right. How you doing? Good. I'm Troy Phillip.
Hi, Derek Strong.
The guy who runs this thing.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you.
There is pizza up here.
Oh, I'm not hungry.
Oh, come on. I got 6 pizzas. Now give me a hand here.
Hey, don't worry.
Jeez.
You need to get rid of any pizza, Troy. I've got a campus full of hungry fathers.
Hey, if they don't come here, they don't get any. That's the rules.
I know, right?
I try bribery as much as I can.
What's the biggest group you've had in the last
Well, we
4
probably,
years?
I think 18 is the biggest.
18? Okay.
Yeah. We usually have between 8 and 12 is pretty typical.
Are we catching mid-lesson on what's going on here, or?
We're starting in 4 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, I know, but like on a project or anything, or this is all from the beginning? Okay.
I'm pretty sure each session is self-contained, right, Troy?
What's that?
Each session is self-contained, right?
Self-contained.
Gotcha, okay.
Although, sometimes they are related. Like last time we did an overview of all the ways to host apps in Azure. And then I'm going to start doing little ones detailing each of those ways. So we do have some relationships there. Not today. Today is totally new.
Thank you for the pizza.
Hey, help yourself. There's plenty more. And breadsticks too. Don't forget breadsticks. All right.
And for the class too, well, I don't know how good it is yet, so we'll all.
Yeah, it's the pizza. I get it. It's all good. It's all good. Wait about 5 minutes and then we'll just get started and hopefully people trickle in. Did you guys happen to RSVP on meetup.com?
I did.
You did, okay. I don't know why people RSVP and they don't show up. It's really weird. Yeah,
People are weird, right?
people are weird.
Most
Although I'm not one to talk. Hey, there's some pizza here, help yourself.
Yeah, 25 people are actually or something like that?
25, yeah.
Can you use the bathroom real quick?
Well, we got. we'll go ahead and get started. So I'll kick us off because I can, I guess. So my name is Troy Fillerup. I am the organizer of the Lake Azure Group. I work for Software Technology Group, which is where we're at right now. Software Technology Group is a consulting firm. We do custom development, we do cloud architecture, we do, pretty much anything in the software world we deal with. I've been with STG for 21 years, and so I'm one of the older guys, as is obvious, right? There's a couple things that I like to do when we do these things. And actually, first of all, I want to really quickly announce that Dallin Farnes is going to join me as a co-organizer of the group, so I don't have to do everything myself anymore. So I want to welcome Dallin and thank him for being willing to take on all of the work and letting me get on the glory. So,
You want me to give a speech?
do you have a speech? You could definitely do that. So he's going to be helping me organize it. And as always, anytime anybody's interested in presenting, we're always looking for presenters. I really appreciate Dave today coming in and presenting for us. Typically, it's me having to present, and everybody gets really tired of listening to me all the time, so new blood is always appreciated. But first of all, what I like to do is I like to give people in the audience the opportunity to talk about something that they have found interesting in the last month, or something that they liked or they learned or that they want to share. If there is anybody that has something that you'd like to share, this is an opportunity to get up and share in front of a group. If you don't, then I won't think much less of you. But if you do have something, does anybody have anything that they're interested in sharing with the group?
Something a little bit
Yeah.
interesting, I guess. Guys, I don't know how applicable this is to, because I'm a student, I don't know how applicable this is to, real world use or whatever. But a lot of our assignments were written back in the days when you could import your SMTP package and send out emails to whoever you want with no problems. Today, if you try and do that, Google's going to block you, Microsoft's going to block you, or anything like that. So our teachers always come up with these really inventive ways around this problem without changing the assignment, like big SMTP services, and you can set up your own little email in the Docker container and do it that way. The root works. Something I found though, Azure has something called Azure Communication Services, and you can just once you set it up, it takes a while to deploy for some reason, but you just get a REST endpoint that you just send your JSON pillow to, and it just sends an email out. And I showed that to my professors, and they were mind blown. So
Yeah.
I thought, again, not probably very useful because you have actual MailChimp or whatever, right? But I thought it was cool.
Well, actually, ACS is very cool. I use ACS quite a bit, not only for email, but for SMS as well, because you can send SMS messages through ACS. And you get a phone number, it's like $2 a month to get a phone number. And then you can send SMS. So ACS is a very cool tool. Thank you. Appreciate bringing that up. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to do, I like to do a little, I guess, lightning talk of my own. But I call it a tech tip because I need to be different than everybody else. And I was going to show it on my laptop, but I didn't want to mess up the recording and stuff. So I just wanted to mention, in case anybody here is a .NET developer, does anybody know what happened this month in the .NET world? Dallin?
.NET 9 came out.
.NET 9 came out, right? If anybody's a .NET developer and you haven't looked at .NET 9 yet, you really should, because it has a lot of really cool things. Dallin did a brown bag yesterday?
2 days ago.
2 days ago on a couple of the new things in .NET 9. Some of the ones that I really liked was the AI stuff. So there's a Microsoft.extensions.ai that is an amazing tool for integrating AI into your .NET applications. The .NET Aspire platform has grown quite a bit and become much more mature. .NET Aspire is an opinionated way for building apps and deploying them into Azure. It has a lot of stuff with the Azure Developer CLI. I don't know if anybody's used that. If you haven't, that's something to check out too. C# 13 has a lot of really cool things. And so I just wanted to bring up the .NET 9 release. The only problem with .NET 9 is it's a short-term or standard term support, which, in my opinion, they should have every release be an L2 forgot to ask me my opinion this time, so it's going to stay SDS. But anyway, so if you haven't checked out .NET 9, if you're a .NET developer, you should. If you're not a .NET developer, you should be, because that's the only true platform. Everything else pales in comparison. So anyway, any comments on .NET 9 or anything? No? All right. Well, like I mentioned, we have a guest presenter today. Dave Rosskopf is here to teach us some great things about Copilot. How long have you been a developer for?
Oh, probably, I mean, to a degree, I guess, for my whole life. But I guess really got into it as a profession probably about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. All right. Cool. Well, we're going to learn some great stuff from Dave, so please, everybody, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So my presentation today is on Copilot. What Copilot is it is a tool from Microsoft that they're kind of integrating with all their products. So today I'm going to show you a lot of different flavors of Copilot, both on the VS Code side, as well as on the, what we call GitHub Copilot, as well as on the app side, as well as on the Windows side. And it's really they're really just trying to integrate basically having an AI assistant to every app. And how cool that can be. And so I'm just going to show a few things. I'm going to start my presentation off with the GitHub Copilot, because there's some things there. Before I get too deep, how many minutes do these usually go?
I try to keep them ending before 7.
Ending before 7.
So you got about 50 minutes or 45 or whatever
Okay.
floats your boat.
So we'll just keep going, and when we run out of time, we're out of time.
Well, my battery might actually die.
It's because it's actually running into a license issue, and this app organization has a fairly strict license. But nevertheless, we should get most of the way there. So, so to start out with, one of the things that I've really liked recently, honestly, it's just using Copilot for prototyping. And I'll demonstrate that real quick. So in this project here, I'm just going to create a new folder here. And I'll call it prototypes. Or prototype. Yeah, sure. So there we go. Shut down my server. I'm going to go to and in the prototypes folder, I'm just going to go ahead and create some kind of file. What should we prototype? Give me some random thing. Minesweeper. Okay, so prototype Minesweeper HTML. Okay. And so here I can really just say, having the file in my view, Copilot automatically assumes that whatever the active file is what you're asking about. And so if you're asking about any other files other than the one you're in, you can do pound and then add another file to it. So let's say I wanted to add characters razor or something like that. Use that if you have multiple files that it's referencing. Otherwise, it uses its language model to determine what properties it thinks your objects have. And so accessing specific files really helps to give it more stuff. In this case, I don't have anything referenced. So I'm just going to say, create me a prototype of the game Minesweeper. And I'll just say using HTML and JavaScript. I'll just see what it gives me here. And so here it's giving me specific instructions. He says, hey, go ahead and use this HTML file. And then there's obviously some JavaScript that's automatically created. It's automatically creating a board, a cell. And honestly, it might have gotten pretty close to the way there. Let's see what happens. So typically I can come in here, I can just copy this file. I can paste it in here. This is just an HTML file, so I can really just open the file in a browser and see what happens. It's all self-contained. There's no server running it. And so there is our Minesweeper. If I click on something, I have a 1. Click on another one, I have a 2. I click here, Explorer. And then if I click on the red, obviously it gave me a game over. So pretty close. Some flaws, right? Obviously it showed me where the mines were. So not totally cool, because way easy. But nevertheless, it got 90% of the way there with the prototype. Other examples of prototypes I like to do for functional wise is a lot of us work in the business world, and so we'll have forms. And so I might create another one here. And I might be students.html. Okay. And I can say, create me a prototype. On here. There we go. So I can say, create me a prototype. And you can be as generic or specific as you want. So I can be like, create me a prototype that captures, or do this, that shows a grid of students. If I add a student, I want a slide out that captures student's first name, last name, date of birth, and email. If I save, submit, it should add the new record to the grid. Use Bootstrap for styling. Okay, it goes through, it's generating now. And now this is an example of it violating its copying code policy. And so it blocked me. So I have two things I can do. I can try regenerating it. And it's a good chance that just by regenerating it, that the second time it goes through it, it may not use as much public code. And it might use just enough to let me through. Let's see if it does. Let's try adding, let's get rid of the Bootstrap styling and see if that helps. In fact, we'll even add our own style. Style, like, give me a certain character, cartoon, something. Style like Scooby-Doo. Come on, you can do it. Oh, no, so close. No, it just says that's using too much public code and it stops. This is where having a private license helps. but I'm too cheap to do a private license for a presentation.
What shows when you click learn more right there?
Let's get rid of some of the fields here. Let's see if that works. It just, we'll try that next time if it blocks me again. Some of the things that I've learned is that it really helps if you know the jargon in the industry itself. For example, slide out. I know what a slide out is, but not everyone knows what a slide out is. When you look at the UI AXC components, do you know what everything's called? Do you know what the industry calls them? Because it's going to use those same jargon. And so the more of the jargon you understand, the better you're able to use this. So it looks like it worked this time. I just had to take off date of birth, it looks like. So there's my simple Scooby-Doo student grid. And if I say Thelma, STG, submit, and there it goes. Cool, right? Just for your own edification, this thing on the right, that whole sliding out thing is called a slide out. That's an effect. And so here I can create prototypes. As long as you know what your IXD components are called, you can easily create your prototypes and pass them by your business customer and be like, is this what you're looking for? Because frankly, it doesn't matter how it's styled. What you're really looking for is, how's it working? And this has actually been one of the most useful features that I have. I was able to knock out prototypes pretty quickly. I was able to get my development team working on them, and it was really useful for them because they could open it up and ask questions and start a conversation. And it only took it, as you saw it, as long as you know what you want, it only took it a couple minutes to generate that file. It's not going to be functional or production ready or anything like that. This is honestly going to, as soon as I close my browser, this name's going to be gone. If I go to a different browser, it's not persisting data. There's a lot of issues there. But for prototyping, yeah, that works pretty good. Other things you can note for prototyping is you can tell it to use certain styles. You can say, I want to use Bootstrap or I want to use Material, and it'll actually use that style as well. In fact, I'm pretty sure this might be using Bootstrap, but I'm not sure. I have to look at the code. Sometimes it'll get it close, and sometimes you really do have to just look at it and figure out where it's wrong and fix the rest of it. Sometimes you might be able to come back to it and tell it what's wrong, and it will fix itself. And I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, and give you another piece of code. Any questions on prototyping with Copilot?
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
So you said that you get a different experience with private license versus public license, was it?
Enterprise?
Enterprise.
And it just depends on your enterprise. Because what happens is, because there is a solid conflict, which is that if it went and grabbed code that was GPU licensed, and I use that code in my product, then technically those licenses make my product open source, which would be bad for some companies. And so because of that, they allow companies to set their restrictiveness as to how much of the public domain they're allowed to use. There's certain limits there. Hence, every time it kept doing that, they kept running into the issue because somewhere it was running into the license issue. So, because the other thing too to note is that a lot of Copilot is still, there is still a creative point to it, but a lot of it is still mimicry, right? It's not creating fancy code that hasn't already been created by some developer. It's able to mimic it and to apply it to your standards, but it's still somewhat just kind of mimicry.
When it gets over the minute phase,
That's right. That's right. That's when the machines start to choose for us what's better for us. Yeah.
You just click that learn more, just curious.
Oh, on the sorry. Yep. You get this nice yellow page in the style of, no, I'm just kidding. That is funny.
Well, that's really enough. Can you have a prototype things that require more than one file, or is it kind of like prototype is one file?
No, so like for instance, if you wanted to create a game, right, and it was going to be multiple files, what you would do is you would split up your prompts to be per page, and it'll follow along what you're doing. it actually remembers what your previous prompts were in order to figure out what to prompt next, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it just kind of gives you the suggestion collection, managing Copilot policies as an individual subscriber. So, what suggestions to enable and disable?
There's a question in the chat that says, have you seen which models give you the best prototypes? I've been experimenting, but don't know if cloud or open API gives me better results.
I don't know. I've only been using the Copilot one, which is based on ChatGPT 4.0, I'm pretty sure. Something to note too, I didn't talk about this, I probably should have started with this. ChatGPT is a licensed product, but the license is I think it's $10 or $20 a month. It's one of those two. I think it might be 10. I paid for it for a while, and then finally my business took it over. So now they pay for it. But now it tells me what I can and can't do, which is annoying. So, but anyways, but it is worth it, I think. So we'll move on to some other things that it does and doesn't do well. I'll cover both. Other things to note too is it's not specific to any type of language. So for instance, here I had it generate HTML and JavaScript. But here I have a Blazor project. And I could honestly have used the same prompt here and went to my components here, created a pages, created a student, .razor, and I could have said in Blazor, actually I can just say do this in Blazor now. Using Blazor and MUI, which is the material UI library. And it should be smart enough to reference my last prompt and regenerate it. And now, instead of using the JavaScript, it's actually using Blazor. Which, for those of you who don't know, Blazor is a .NET UI web component. And so there we go. And if I was to run this, it probably would work. I say probably because you never know. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of a hit and miss type thing. Let's see here, cd starlight.web.disney.net run. He used the JavaScript MUI library instead of the actual MUI components because it probably recognized that it hadn't installed it. So that was nice of it. But it does mean that I would need to actually add this here. And notice how it tells me what files I need to edit as well. Now in this one here, it actually tells me I need to edit the index.html. But I actually know from my own personal experience that that is wrong. I actually need to edit this one here to add the link to the reference. And it looks like there is an error on student 2. My component is named student. Oh, okay, fine. We will just add an S and call it good. And by one character, you can save an entire presentation. And that's how we roll here at Microsoft. If that runs. There are still build errors because MUI doesn't exist. Probably should have picked an MUI project. Actually, where are you looking for that at? need to escape that. So this is a good example. So I'm like, I don't know how to escape that. So I can ask Copilot, escape the at MUI. There we go. And so he has said, oh, I just need to add another at symbol. Let's see, that works now. Okay, letting it run again. And if it doesn't work, honestly, I'm probably just gonna move on, guys. I know you hate disappointment, but I'm here to disappoint you.
Works, everybody has to jump up and cheer.
Oh my goodness, it compiled at least. Will it navigate? Time will tell. I hope you guys are on the edge of your seats or computer chairs if you're remotes. Let's see here, I'm running a server here. Okay, so that's taking me to my home page. I'm going to want to go to route though anyways. What is my route, you ask? I think it was students. I think it was plural. And I keep hitting the magnifying glass because I'm on a computer I'm not familiar with. I'm like, I'm doing a presentation. Why don't I bring a machine that I never ever use? Oh my gosh, look at that. It's not colored like Scooby-Doo, but I could literally come back to it and be like, I could tell it to use Scooby-Doo colorings and it would probably work. My slide out work? My slide out doesn't work. So broke a few things. But you can kind of see how it kind of got closer, right? Not as great as the HTML prototype, but it was getting there. I have done games, whole games. Like for instance, I can show you if it's still there. I wanted a really fancy resume. And so I did, let's see here, I think it's resume, no, Bitly. Slash, David, I don't know what you're doing, I want you. I think it's resume. David Rosskopf resume? I have to get back to that. In fact, I can do it here. I could actually, if you want to see something cool, I can say, I can go back in here and I can be like, style this using matrix. Matrix. Yes. Okay, it's done generating. Let's see if it works. Seeing better. Yeah, there's now some greens in there. It knew what matrix I was talking about. It's like, you must be talking about the movie. Because there is no UI library called matrix. I should watch. Wait for it to load up here. And it's running. And here we go. Got a matrix kind of background there. And then I could say, and I've even gone so far as to say, give me a background with letters that are floating and whatnot. And, it kind of gives you a full experience. And so you can kind of continue to work on it and make really cool styles with it. Continuing on, some of the downfalls. Let's see if I can find any for you in my existing project here. So this is an existing .NET project that I use for my own prototypes that I've been doing. And so it has, it's grown over the month. I've been using this. There's initialization there. Okay, there's this program there. And I probably want the market data one. Let's see what the market data one has. All right, so here I've got a database connection. I have some controllers, and I do have just some Entity Framework stuff. So let's say that I wanted to move this into services. move, because you know, frankly, we're like, somebody's gonna look at this and be like, Dave, you've got to put your stuff in the service layer. You can't just call the database directly from the controller. You'll be like, okay, move all logic in the map get and map post to a service file. Name historical prices service. Okay, so there's my file there, so I should be able to technically just, in fact, there's a couple of things. I could actually have it just add the file here. Apply an editor. Scary, I might break my proof of concept. I'm not sure if I'm keen on that, but let's see. Did it just add the service within there? It did add the service within there. Okay, that's cool. I didn't get my jump up and down last time, so I'm still aiming for that. I'm gonna wow you guys. Tell you what. It's like, I can code badly as well. Yeah. Anyways, I'll copy that into its own file. Historical prices service. And we're gonna want to definitely tell it that it is a, come on, yes. Okay. So there we go. We've copied into a file. Obviously, some of these dependencies aren't there because it, and then had I actually told it that I wanted it to be in the same file, I could have generated those dependencies automatically. But there we go. So obviously that's refactored there. So now let me go back to my program CS and make sure that did it do it correctly, as I would expect it to. I am not seeing it do it correctly. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Let's see if I can have it apply this here. Apply in editor. Oh, so I applied the first one in editor as opposed to just having it add a file, which is, that's a copy. What's this one? Insert. Okay. And so, did he do it? Still didn't do it. You know what? I'm just going to copy. Call it what it is. I'm going to copy it. Oh, wait, maybe he did do it. I do have it there. This guy is out of place. That's not cool. Okay. And he's under app, and there is no app, so he's in the wrong location. Yeah. And so there, it looks like I have it.
Woo!
There you go. So, a quick refactor there saves the day. Now, if I come in here and they say, well, technically this is a service, and what else do we need with the service? We always need a, I mean, it's just me. But my company requires interfaces for everything. So then I'll be like, okay, well, generate the interfaces, the interface for this file. I don't have to say this file either. I can just say generate interface. Sometimes I like to think that I'm fancy and be like, this file is what I'm talking about.
So when you say this file, is it going to reference the file that it generated or the file that you're currently in the editor?
It actually always references the file that's in editor.
Okay.
And then if I come here and implement it, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? does not implement it. Why doesn't it? I told it to. And this is kind of where sometimes it falls short. It might get me part of the way there. I do find it that sometimes it gives me this weird stuff too. Like sometimes it'll put code in places I didn't expect it to put. To list. Async. Okay. Man, it really screwed up everything. Here, let me go back up here real quick and just copy that first one. I screwed up anything. It didn't screw up anything.
I think the good thing is that developers still have a job for a while.
For a moment, it did.
It gives us a lot, but we still have to do it.
It does.
Hopefully until I retire. I wish. Reps, man.
Okay, so I've recopied it over historical prices. Okay, so that one worked. I have found in my own using of it that sometimes you have to get more specific in terms of, sometimes this file doesn't work. Sometimes you have to be like, you know, create an interface for every public method in this file. In this case, it looked like it was roughly did a pretty good job. But as I've been using it personally, it's actually been kind of hit and miss. Sometimes, and this is the reason why, because it's a language model, sometimes it'll guess what, it'll read a historical price service, and it'll make an assumption of what interface it would expect that service to have based on the name historical prices. And that's all it's using. It's not actually using the physical methods underneath. It's saying, oh, this is historical price services, this is what you need. And so sometimes you'll get an interface that doesn't actually match the implementation, and that can be annoying. When you get that, just be more specific. You have to be like, please use all the methods that I've implemented. Don't create your own. Things like that. And if you do that, it tends to work better. If I come in here now and I say, write tests for this service, it'll generate tests. In this case, he's using XUnit. He's like, you don't have XUnit installed, so you'll probably want to install that. I'm also going to use mock. And you can see here that he's generating the service for us.